TV23's Internet provided by SWKO Wireless Internet. Covering the High Plains with news, weather, and information. From TV23 Studios in Sublette, this is High Plains Today.
Hi, everybody. It is Thursday, October 29th, 2015. Hey, you know what? October is almost over. October is almost over. Welcome to High Plains Today on TV23. On today's show, we'll be joined by our entertainment correspondent, Mr. Adam Jewell. Now let's take a look at some happenings around the area. 2 crashes in Meade County sent motorists to the hospital on Wednesday afternoon. Kansas Highway Patrol says 45-year-old Kenneth Pape of Meade was traveling east on Highway 54, 1/4 miles west of Plains, and went left of center and struck a westbound semi. Pape was taken to the Mineola District Hospital with injuries. Now, the crash occurred at about 4:15 yesterday afternoon. And a second crash occurred about an hour later on Highway 54 and Grand Avenue in Plains. The KHP says 2 cars were going east on Highway 54 when one car, driven by 20-year-old Caleb Tatro of Plains, attempted to make a U-turn, and a semi-truck struck Tatro's car on the driver's side. 58-year-old David Ratzliff of Plains was a passenger in Tatro's vehicle. Tatro and Ratzliff were taken to the Meade District Hospital with injuries. Well, the recent discovery of a dead mountain lion in western Kansas brings to 5 the number of mountain lion confirmations in the state since August. The State Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism says before 2007, Kansas went more than a century without a confirmed wild mountain lion sighting. But there have been 14 confirmations since 2007. The previous 4 confirmations this year have been trail camera photos, sightings, and videos. Now, a landowner near Dodge City contacted the department last week after finding an underweight dead mountain lion in a shed. The department says Kansas is one of many states to have increased mountain lion confirmations over about the past decade. A federal lawsuit that's part of a push by advocacy groups claims Dodge City imprisons people who can't afford to pay bond fees. The lawsuit was filed in federal court in Kansas City, Kansas, by Washington-based Equal Justice Under Law on behalf of Lawrence J. Martinez. The lawsuit says Dodge City seeks to jail poor residents who cannot pay an arbitrary amount of money. Similar lawsuits were filed last week in Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and Missouri. All accuse court systems of ignoring the U.S. Supreme Court decision that says courts must determine whether people have the ability to pay fines before jailing them for non-payment. The Kansas Department of Transportation is conducting pavement strength tests in Clark County, which began Tuesday. All testing should be completed by the end of this week. One test section is on US 283 from the north junction of US 283 and US 160 to the Clark-Ford County line. The other test section is on US 183 from the Kansas-Oklahoma state line to the junction of US 183 and US 160. The testing crew will be using a pilot car operation to control traffic through the pavement test section, so slow down and be careful. The Finney County Economic Development Corporation will assist the city of Holcomb with creating incentive programs designed to spark residential development. Lana Duvall, FCEDC president, said Holcomb doesn't qualify for the Rural Housing Incentive District program, which helps developers build housing by helping to finance public infrastructure improvements. The RHID is set by state statute and requires a demonstrated need for housing and bases that need, in part, on employment in the community. Because many residents live in Holcomb but work in other communities, that need isn't demonstrated. Now, the council directed FCEDC to work with Garden City's Planning and Community Development Office to determine potential tools Holcomb could use to assist developers and create incentive standards. And Kansas children need to be prepared for kindergarten, and students seeking technical education shouldn't be seen as second-class citizens. That's the state's new education commissioner said on Tuesday, laying out the Department of Education's new outcomes-centered vision. The department and the Kansas State Board of Education are focusing on kindergarten readiness, high school graduation and higher education completions rates, as well as the amount of remedial work needed by college students. The commissioner, Randy Watson, told the department's annual conference in Wichita that schooling should center on students, not systems. The unveiling of the vision comes after a months-long process gathering feedback on education from across the state. And that's some of the stuff that's happening out there. Stick around. I'll be back with kind of a wet forecast after this.
You're watching High Plains Today on TV23 with host Chris Jewell. TV23's internet service and 4G live streaming provided by United Wireless. Coverage you deserve. Service you expect. United Wireless.
You want to feel connected, informed, included, inspired. So when important things happen, we're here. Your local TV and radio broadcasters. America's #1 source for news, weather, and information. On every screen in your life. We are broadcasters, always here for you, wherever here may be. Text TV to 52886. Tell Washington local stations matter.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Something I feel when I'm right here. Something that tells me that I'm home. This is the place. Everybody here knows it. This is the place. Oh, it's home to me and you. Yeah, this is the place.
Lead paint poisoning affects 1 million children today. If you're pregnant or have young children and your home was built before 1978, you could be at risk. Learn how to protect your family. To find your home's danger zones, the health effects, or just to find help, log on to leadfreekids.org.
Now, the local weather forecast for the High Plains.
Welcome back as we look off to the northeast on the TV23 tower cam. Few high clouds out there to the north. Other than that, it's not too bad. It's a little fresh out there. Let's take a look at our current conditions here at the station. 46 degrees, relative humidity is 50%. Winds have calmed down a bunch. It's out of the east at 5. Barometric pressure is on the rise. Let's look at our current temps around the area. Everybody is in the 40s except for down at Perryton. They must be living right. It is 52 degrees. Looking at our current dew points around the area, everybody is down in the 20s except for Perryton. They're at 30 degrees on their dew point. So other than that, everybody's pretty much staying pretty close to the same. Winds are currently, you can see they're starting to die down a little bit to the east, but everybody's pretty much out of the east and the northeast. There is some rain coming in as we look at our highs and lows yesterday. 63 was the high yesterday, 83 back in 2001. 37, the overnight low, 21 back in 1980. No measurable precipitation in the bucket overnight. Looking at our forecast today, only going to be 56. Winds are going to be out of the east at 11. And then tonight, this is going to be well after midnight, but the low is going to be 42. Winds are still going to be staying out of the southeast at 11. 40% chance of thunderstorms is going to happen after 2 a.m., maybe around sunrise, but that's going to stick around because tomorrow the high is going to be 50. There is an 80% chance of precipitation tomorrow. Yep, winds are still going to be out of the southeast at 11. Now, we could get about up to a half an inch in the area with these thunderstorms tomorrow, and then tomorrow night they're still going to be hanging around. Could be see another quarter inch at that 60% mark. 41 degrees for the low. East-northeast winds at 10, so tomorrow night when you're going to those football games, you'll definitely want to throw in an umbrella or a parka or something. Let's take a look at our 7-day. You can see the rain there. High today, 56. 50 tomorrow. Then we're going to start climbing back up into the 70s at the beginning of the work week. That is not going to be too bad. Lows are going to be anywhere from the 50s to the low upper 30s, mainly though staying in the 40s. That's a look at the weather. Guess what? Markets are coming up next.
Something I feel when I'm right here. Something that tells me that I'm This is the place. Everybody here knows it. This is the place. Oh, it's home to me and you. Yeah, this is the place.
Turn here. There. Hey. Excuse me. So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Lead paint poisoning affects 1 million children today. If you're pregnant or have young children and your home was built before 1978, you could be at risk. Learn how to protect your family. To find your home's danger zones, the health effects, or just to find help, log on to leadfreekids.org.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent? 1 in 260,000. The odds of this born racer having 157 career top 10 finishes in NASCAR? 1 in 125 billion. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I'm NASCAR driver Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Lead paint poisoning affects 1 million children today. If you're pregnant or have young children and your home was built before 1978, you could be at risk. Learn how to protect your family. To find your home's danger zones, the health effects, or just to find help, log on to leadfreekids.org.
I think someone at my friend's school has this thing called autism. My friend's brother's son has autism. My neighbor's son has autism. My son has autism.
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 110 children is diagnosed with autism. That's a 600% increase in the last 20 years. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
And welcome back. We are now joined by our entertainment correspondent, Mr. Adam Jewell, live from downtown Chicago. Well, actually, it's not downtown Chicago, but it's fairly close, right?
No.
Okay. Is your address Chicago?
Yes.
All right, that works. All right. How are you today?
I'm all right.
Okay, well, it's been a week or two since we've talked to you, just because we've had a lot of stuff going on. You've had a lot of stuff going on. But anyway, you're going to tell us about 3 shows today. 2 are movies. 1 is a series on Netflix, right?
Yes.
All right. So the first one is the new and improved, I don't know, Steve Jobs movie.
Yes, and that's the name of the movie, Steve Jobs. It's written by Aaron Sorkin. He did a few things called The West Wing, studio on the Sunset Strip. He wrote The Social Network. This is also directed by Danny Boyle, who did a movie called Slumdog Millionaire, 127 Hours, and Train Spotting. And it stars Michael Fassbender as Steve Jobs, and it looks into the life of Steve Jobs and how kind of the eccentric man that he was, and how he managed to burn a lot of bridges, but also be the creative tour de force that he was. So it's been out for, limited release for quite some time. And it's now just coming back nationwide. Last week is when it received its nationwide release. So don't pay attention to too much of the whole, it only made $7 million.
That was going to be my question. I mean, because it came out, it cost over $30 million to make, and then they said the first weekend it was out, it only made $7 million. So does that tell you something that people aren't really interested in another Steve Jobs biopic?
Couple things. One, that was the nationwide release. It had already made a lot of money during the limited release. So let's get that straight. Number 2, this isn't the whole summer blockbuster anymore. This is when you now get into the award season and award movies. So what's happening there, you're going to see better quality stuff.
So all right, so are you saying that the movie Steve Jobs, this latest one that is out, is going to garner some award nominations?
Probably.
Really? Okay. For what, for instance? I mean, I haven't seen it.
Probably Best Actor with Michael Fassbender. Since it's Aaron Sorkin, probably Best Adapted Screenplay or some sort of screenplay writing category. So that's at least 2. The others, we'll see.
All right. So it sounds like you're pretty high on the Steve Jobs movie then with Michael Fassbender. Not the old, because there's been several movies made about Steve Jobs.
There's been one other one, and yes, it's quite terrible, but that's neither here nor there.
All right. Okay. So you recommend Steve Jobs?
Well, I can't recommend it. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, well, okay. Okay. All right. The next one, though, this is kind of interesting. Now, the next one is just simply titled Room.
Yeah. Yes. It's titled Room, and I shouldn't be laughing. And it's different from The Room, which is a terrible, terrible movie that people seem to love. But anyways, Room is a movie that stars the young up-and-coming Brie Larson. Now, what Room is about Brie Larson's character, Ma, and her young 5-year-old son, Jack. And It deals with Brie Larson, who was kidnapped and abducted by a crazy person named Old Nick, and kept her captive in his shed, and she ended up having their child Jack with this said man. Her and her son escape, and that happens within the first 20-30 minutes of the movie. The rest of the movie is about her and her son readapting to the real world, because Brie Larson has raised this child in captivity for 5 years, and he knows nothing outside of what room is, and she made room to be the entire world. Now it's this small child's first introduction to the world, and Brie Larson's reintroduction to the world, if that makes any sense.
This sounds a little dark.
It's not.
Oh, all right. Well, it's not a comedy, I'm assuming.
Obviously not.
All right. But this is an adaptation. There's a novel out called Room, correct?
I believe so.
And that's what this is taken from?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, Brie Larson, is she new? Has she done some other things, or?
She's new. She was in the 21 Jump Street movie. She played Amy Schumer's sister in Trainwreck. Those are probably the two most notable things that people would recognize her from. She's done other notable things, but that's what people would recognize her from.
Okay. All right. So, Room, that sounds interesting. You recommend this movie?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go see it.
All right. So, when's it come out?
It's already out. Once again, it came out last week.
All right. Okay.
So I'm going to go and see it probably this weekend.
Okay. We got about 3 minutes left or whatever. So let's get into your final one, which is on Netflix. And this is called Master of None.
Correct. It is the romantic comedy that millennials in my generation can deal with. It's called Master of None. It's by none other than Aziz Ansari, the short little Indian man from the television show Parks and Rec, that you would probably recognize him from. It follows the personal and professional life of a man named Dev in New York, who's played by Aziz Ansari, but this entire show is based off of Aziz's stand-up comedy, essentially.
Okay, and so this airs on Netflix then, right? And it starts fairly soon if it's not already started, right?
It's part of Netflix's original content that they are churning out every month. It comes out next Friday, the 6th.
Okay, so when you say that your generation can relate to this as far as millennials, etc., now what kind of things are they talking about in this series? Or what are they dealing with?
Just how it is nowadays between dating, life, career, just the everyday real world things.
Everyday real world things. All right.
You wouldn't understand.
I wouldn't understand. Okay. All right. Gotcha. All right. So you recommend that also?
Well, once again, I haven't seen it
yet. Okay, but when it comes out, but you're looking forward to it.
Yes.
All right. Okay, we got about a minute and a half left. What else you got for us? Got about a minute.
Nothing. I mean, it's just a very gray day here in Chicago, but you can check me out next week, as I will be on location at a certain Chicago spot. More to that when you see me next week.
All right. Okay, well, I guess we'll stick around. Well, I guess we'll have to have you back on so we know where you're at next week. All right. Thanks, Adam.
Exactly.
We'll see you next week.
Okay.
And we'll be back with more right after this.
You want to feel connected, informed, included, inspired. So when important things happen, we're here. Your local TV and radio broadcasters. America's #1 source for news, weather, and information. On every screen in your life. We are broadcasters. Always here for you, wherever here may be. Text TV to 52886. Tell Washington local stations matter.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Something I feel when I'm right here. Something that tells me that I'm This is the place. Everybody here knows it. This is the place. Oh, it's home to me and you. Yeah, this is the place.
It's not his new group of friends. It's not the video games. It's not the neighborhood.
Mom, do I have to go to school today?
The biggest threat to your child's future could be you. Every day they miss, even in middle school, puts their graduation at risk.
And we're back. Hey, guess what? Johnny Cueto pitched a 2-hitter. Eric Hosmer drove in 2 runs. And the Kansas City Royals beat the New York Mets 7-1 last night. They take a 2-0 lead in the World Series. Guess what that baby is? Today is travel day. They're heading back to Citi Field for the first time the World Series will ever be there. Game 3 tomorrow night. Royals, Mets. Can't wait. Noah Syndergaard will face Yordano Ventura. Those 2 guys each throw over 100 miles an hour. That'll be a good game to watch. Let's hope the Royals can get through with all that. Anyway, hey, let's take one last look at your weather before we get out of here today on this Thursday. Right now it is 47 degrees outside, relative humidity 50%. Winds have picked up just a little bit. They're out of the east-southeast at 11. Barometric pressure is on the rise. We're looking at our 7-day. Yep, it's going to be 56 today, 50 tomorrow. There's a good chance you're going to get wet. But the temperatures are going to start climbing back up. Beginning on Sunday, hey, that's going to be yard working weather. You can be out there working in the yard, not going to be too hot. You're not going to sweat a lot, so that's a good thing. Hey, everybody, go out, make it a great Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. I think Dr. Jack will be here. We'll be talking football. Call you cable operator. See ya.
Keep up to date with the latest information from TV23 on our Facebook page, KDGL TV.
Hi, I'm Chris Jewell, host of High Plains Today, a 30-minute news and information program that airs at noon weekdays right here on TV23. Hey, do you think you have an idea for something that would make a great segment? Somebody that would make a great interview? What about a community event that needs highlighting? Let us know here at the station. Email us news@kdgltv.com. Hi, Chris Jewell, host of High Plains Today, a 30-minute news and information program that airs weekdays at noon right here on TV23. We talk about news, we talk about sports, we talk about weather, we're even going to talk entertainment. We'll have live guests right here on set with me. So, every day at noon, tune in, High Plains Today. We'll see you then.
Weekdays here on TV23.
Something I feel when I'm right here. Something that tells me that I'm This is the place. Everybody here knows it. This is the place. Oh, it's home to me and you. Yeah, this is the place.
You realize that 49 million Americans struggle with hunger? That's 1 out of every 6 Americans.
These people are around us every day. They're our friends, they're our coworkers, their kids go to school with our kids.
Sometimes we're not even aware that they're struggling. This problem is closer than you think. So is the solution.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.